Hi, I'm Alice Crane, and I'm one of the board members on the Tin Shop Theater. We're actually called the Buchanan Fine Arts Council. We are a board of the city commission, and we'll talk a little bit about history on how we were born, but I've been on the board since 1995, and I've been treasurer since 2000, I think 2001, something like that. So I oversee the box office, and we have younger high school, juniors or seniors run the box office, but I oversee them and getting the reservations and that kind of stuff. And then I also usually direct a play a year and sometimes act in them. I haven't done that for a little while.
Hello everyone, I'm Kelly Carlin, and I'm also a board member, currently the chairperson of the Tin Shop Theater, and I have been on the board pretty much since I moved back. I was recruited, 2008, like the very beginning, January 2008. But I usually direct a children's show every year or a youth show. And often I also direct other shows with adults or adults and children. I love to direct anything, really. I love working with the people down at the Tin Shop. It's a lot of fun, and we have a great community to work with.
Well, just a little bit about our history. I actually was working at City Hall when I was a co-op student at City Hall in 1978 when this occurred. And I remember it vividly, of the talk about going about it. And our Mayor Richard Galt was the spearheader of getting this, the arts in Buchanan started. And he, his family has such a great arts background, and he wanted to bring it to our community. And I remember it vividly when it happened, because I was there and working with it. So September 25th, 1978 is when they formed the Buchanan Area Fine Arts Council. And when they did it, they wanted to encompass not just the city, but the whole Buchanan area community. And so we have, back when we were formed, we had 2 people that sat from Bertrand Township, 2 people from Buchanan Township, 2 people from Niles Township, and then 2 people from the school. So and then 4 people from the city sat on the board. So we still have, today we have a lot of those positions open, but so it encompasses just not the city, but the whole area. And we were one of the first community theaters, I think possibly in 2000. The theater was opened in 1982, or is when they purchased the building, but I think we might be the oldest or Twin City Players.
At Twin City Players, it's been
a little longer than us, but not a whole lot longer.
I think they opened in the 1930s, I believe.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they've been around.
Yeah. So they're probably, besides us, the 2 oldest things in our community. And if you look around the state of Michigan, we are a member of the state community organization of community theaters, and most of the other towns are much larger that have a community theater, and we're very lucky that the city commission still supports us. They actually own the theater and lease it to us for $1. I think $1 every 5 years or 10 years, something like that. So, but they do a lot of helping us upkeep. They did, along with them and Michigan Gateway, did the big upgrade a few years ago where we got new siding, so when you weren't in the building, you didn't see out, because, I mean, literally, if you were at a matinee show, and I know a lot of you were there, you could see light coming in. And it was very hard to keep it cool in there, and then we did, at one time, when we had gotten a new air conditioner, they did it heat pump. So it did give us a little bit of heat, but not a lot. So it would take the chill off if we were going late in mid-October, sometimes if we had a cold fall. But it didn't help a lot. So then when they re-sided, they insulated and put in a whole new furnace and air conditioning system. And that has helped us maintain our season maybe a little bit longer. In the dead of winter, it's still hard to keep that big old building comfortable. It really is. I think it would take a huge boiler to keep it at, you know, yeah. So, but just a little bit about who founded us. Back then, I can tell you who the commissioners were, because it's right here. Of course, city manager was Clyde Remo, Reggie Belair, Richard Galt, Lucy Hubbard, and Scott Welsh. And I don't know if that was Kay Welsh's husband, Keith, that was on the commission back then. I don't remember.
His name was Keith.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be Keith Welsh. I don't remember if he was there. And then a Commissioner Ratty, and I'm not sure, I don't remember who his first name. But the original council was Jerry Rosso, Judy Galt, Cheryl Beck, Helen Habak, Jerry Siekman, Bernice Wolf, Shirley Rody, Wayne Ryder, Norma Stevens, Abel Rakowski, Katie Farhat, Linda Canfield, Chicky Hansen, Glo King, Nancy Connard, and Lucy Hubbard, and Wanda Farr. So those are all names that have been in our community for a long, long time. And it just, and a lot of them stayed on the board for a long time throughout the years. And yeah, Karen Falkenstein has done this wonderful book up, and it goes back to adding, and she adds when council members come on and when they comes off. So I mean, she keeps adding to this. I could probably tell you when you came on, Kelly.
December 2007.
Yeah. So yeah, she's got it on here. So it just and I was going to look to see exactly when the city purchased the. It was then called the Clark Air Conditioning Bed is now ready to be placed on the market. So 50 years ago, Buchanan was one of the centers of the bed making industry. And now, after all those years of making beds, it is again going to be a theater. And so I'm not sure exactly when I don't know what the original thing was, but I know when the city obtained the building, it was from the co-ops. And they purchased the building from the co-ops in 1982. It might have been 81. And then they started rehabbing it, and we were the first grant. Back then was Buchanan Foundation, and I think that Lou Dessenberg in his thing said he was so happy that we now just received another grant, and he said it was his honor to be one of the first. We were one of the first grants is when he became chairperson of the foundation to when he's leading the foundation, that we get another grant.
The Michigan Gateway Foundation.
Now it's now the Michigan Gateway, but it was, and it is under the Buchanan Foundation. I mean, the whole thing is the Michigan, but the Buchanan Foundation is who gave us the first grant. They purchased a building back years ago. I mean, you were a kid and you acted in there, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I remember. Well, I remember when I was 8 years old, we had to do. It wasn't around yet. We had to do something at the old teen center.
Yep.
We did like a Thurber Carnival there, and we would do stuff at the high school once in a while because Mr. Bashara was running things then, Mike Bashara. But I think the first show that I acted in at the tin shop was in 1986 in Little Women. Oh. So yeah, I remember having just the fold-up chairs, and there was just we created our own stage, and
so the first shows was at high school. We did some at the tin shop. So we were the only arts thing. So also we hosted arts fairs in the summer back in the 80s and early 90s, and then after that, probably mid-90s is when we just really focused on the live theater, because I'm looking back here in 1983 we had arts fair, and I think it was kind of along with Labor Day back then that they did that. So 82 is, it looks like we did some ballet. We had some ballet presentations.
At one point, I think it was 1985 or 86 that they had the Notre Dame Glee Club. That we had that.
But 1984 is when the first show was produced at the theater. There's pictures, and I'll leave this to look at. So the first production in the tin shop was 1984. It was called Plaza Suite.
My dad was in that, and he is not an actor. That is the one and only show he's ever done. I didn't realize it was the first show.
Yeah, so that was the first show.
Yeah.
And the Plaza Suite was basically a series of 3 one-act plays featuring 7 males and 5 females. And Mike Bashar directed it, and it was held May 3rd through the 5th at the theater. And back then we had no air conditioning or anything. And then, let's see, here we had the West German Opera. So here, but a lot of, let's see, so this, that's the Plaza Suite where they have the tryouts. I was just looking to see if it said who else was in the Plaza Suite. Anya Turnott, Karen Nash, Michelle Burgoyne, Craig Summerex. I didn't even remember, and Craig is still acting down there.
Was he a little kid? He had to be.
Well, this is in 78, so I think he was a couple years.
Yeah, he graduated.
Or 84.
84.
So I know he was like 83, 84 is when he graduated from high school. Andy Hubble was in there. Vivian Sampson, David Reifenberg, Debbie Shellis. So
What production was that?
that was in May
1984.
1984.
Plaza Suite. Plaza Suite.
Yeah. So so it looks like we were involved in the Labor Day celebration back then. I actually have the program from the Plaza Suite. It looks like it was ran on one of those old mimeograph machines that my mother used to teach. I know you guys remember those. And I wouldn't doubt that she probably did it, or You guys did it. And that, but I can remember cranking those things, and
You had to crank them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go around and they shoot them out, yeah, but
Mhm.
you have to keep cranking.
Oh, to make
Yeah.
the cut, oh,
yeah,
wow,
they made
okay.
the copies, and I can remember you having to type, you know, so you didn't make any mistakes, so she only let the good typists do that. So, and then Chicky Hansen, designed our logo, and she did this, many years ago, and we still use this logo today. So she's the one that designed that.
And it was Shirley Rhodey who did the,
She did the, Shirley did a sketching of the building, and we use that still today.
Yep.
So between those two talented ladies, and that. So, oh, it looks, in October 1985, we got a new roof. And back then, Mary, Lester was council, she was a council chairperson. So, and I know she's been on and off the council for a couple times over the years, and that. I think Shirley Rhodey was probably the longest serving council member, because she was on it from the beginning. But Karen Falkenstein has been on, I think she came on like in 84, 85, somewhere in there, and she's still on there today.
yeah,
And she is our rock, and she's our historian. She has made up, I mean, we've probably got about 10 of these books. She does one on each production that we do. So we have history of what productions we've done over the years. And that, and she cuts out any articles that is written on each, the production and everything. I guess any questions before we move on to what we got coming up? Any questions about history of the theater? You got anything else to add about it?
I just know it's been a real staple for people, like since we started. We're still getting new people every single year. So I think it's a wonderful outlet for the community, because we love to include everybody. And the most recent years, at least since I've been on the board, and especially in probably like the last like 7 or 8 years, we've gotten more and more people from coming to audition for plays, not just from the community, because Alice is really good at getting like community members to come and audition, and I think it's a great outlet for kids. I've enjoyed doing that every year, and every year I get new kids, but some of the kids that I've worked with since I started doing a youth show every year have, some of them graduated like 2 years ago that I started with when they were 6 or 7 years old, and they had been with me the whole time since 2008 through when they graduated, and that's pretty much how it's been, and which is really wonderful. But we've gotten a lot of people from other communities though too, and other theaters, and people have come and directed from other places as well. It's just a nice place for people to come and express themselves and just have a good time getting to know each other, and it's just a fun thing. So if you've never done it, I can pretty much get anybody up on that stage, can't I, Anne Marie?
Yes, you can.
Well,
So
I
come
always
and try it.
said I would never act.
Yes.
I said I could never act. I was a big supporter of the arts, but I could never do it. And then Toni Mayberry, who was a longtime director, she got me up in my first role as in Way Out West in a Dress, and then I recreated it like 10 years after that and directed it. And that was the first role that I was in. And that, so, and since then I've been involved with the show in some capacity, at least one show every year. So,
Yeah.
Do you have volunteers that help with the sets and that kind of stuff? How does that work?
yes, anybody is welcome.
Yeah.
Usually the directors who's doing the set or producing the show kind of get their own team, but, you know, anybody is welcome, and, you know, just let us know, and
Yeah,
we'll put you in touch with whoever's directing at the time, because they usually coordinate the building of the set. I know me personally as a director, I try to get my actors involved in building the set. And then I do have a couple mainstay people I call on, guys that are pretty good carpenters that can hammer and use screw guns and everything. And that, because you can't build anything permanent. So,
no. Yeah, we have we're slowly building a pool of volunteers that will come and kind of help each time, but it is true that each director kind of has their own people, and the Tin Shop is a little bit different than other theaters in the area, because we usually use our cast as much as possible. The director kind of is involved in every part of it, and some of the other theaters, they have specific groups that had certain things up. It was really different for me when I went to direct at Twin City Players right before the pandemic, because I was so used to being involved in every little bit, and oh no, we'll handle the costumes. Oh no, we'll handle, you know, the building. We'll handle the light. So it was really nice. But I love the fact that we are involved in so many different parts of it, the cast and the director and everything. I also, with the kids, that's something that I've done from the beginning, is have the kids kind of learn different parts. They always, whenever I do a kid show, they always do a lot of the set painting, and some of them, the artists that are visual artists, they help design. We sit and we talk about it. I have them draw things, and anyone that wants to learn how to do the booth throughout the years, we've had quite a few kids that have then gone and learned the booth throughout the years too. Oh, sorry, the technical stuff, the lights and the sound, and every year, especially the last 5 years or so, a lot of the kids have helped get costumes too, like help look through our crazy full costume area upstairs.
yeah, we're in the process of weeding out, going through costumes, you know, anything that's stained, ripped, or whatever, it's going. We have just so much up there right now that we don't know what we have, and we're trying to organize and that. So
Good job.
yeah, it's
It
huge.
is, yeah.
It's huge, and you know, Kelly has a good in David Farrell, who was involved with the theater back when he was in high school and in college. Now he moved out of the area. Now he's back in the area, and he's actually the one that's directing It's a Wonderful Life, and he's back on our board. He was probably the first youngest, high school. I think he came on the board when he was a senior in high school. Back, and he went to Brandywine, and then he took over right in college as being the artistic director for the theater. So he kind of helped plan the season and pick directors and everything back then. So we've kind of, done different things over the years, but he did it, and before him, Simon Frederick did it, and I think Phil Place, we all know his computer technically, but I think it started at the Tin Shop. He got involved in the tech booth when he was probably a freshman in high school, and that's where he got involved in being techie and learning the lights and everything, and being involved in the computers and that. He got his love of that, I think, from Simon. And that, because he worked with Simon a lot. I know that's when you weren't in town, but, and that, so.
Even when I wasn't in town though, I had a theater group, which was Michelle Burgoyne was part of it. It was actually started at the Tin Shop Theater, and we had it for 10 years, and we would go to different theaters. And so even when I was up in Kalamazoo, I would come back you know, sometimes, and we would do a show at the theater, you know, so that's how special of a place I think the Tin Shop is.
Yeah.
It's a neat place.
Norma,
How much did the building cost?
how much does it cost, like, to run?
Did it cost when you purchased?
Oh, I would have to look back in here. I don't remember. I'll look that up while we're talking. I don't remember how much it cost, when the city bought that. I think they bought it in like around 80.
And
I'll have to look that up, Norma, because I'm not sure. But we have put a lot of money has gone into that theater, and when I first got on the council, 95, 96, I don't know if some of you remember, it had a big pole right in the middle of the theater.
oh yeah,
And BG Green actually donated his time, and that's why we had this big brace going across over the seating and down by each of the doors on the north and the south doors. Is what removed that big pole that was in the middle of the seats.
Wow, that's interesting.
Do you remember
Oh,
that,
that's
Janice?
interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I knew you were involved with it, and Janice has been on our board. I don't know, how long were you on our board?
I was trying to remember, I don't really know. It was,
I'll look back. Karen's got it recorded.
very long. It was a struggle before my mother became dependent and
Yeah,
passed away, so. I got-
but Janice has been, I mean, I look out, like all of you have been big supporters of the theater, and we really appreciate it, and it's a gift to the community.
You're listed on the National Register of
Yes.
History, aren't you?
Yes, the building is. So, because we are historic, and for years, and I still think, you know, we just sit right outside of that DDA district, that downtown district. So we never were able to get that funding, that some of the, so we're not part of that, the historic DDA district and that. So, because it ended at Rose Street, that's no longer there.
well, we ended up getting updated windows, and so that kind of
Yeah.
changed that. We couldn't.
Oh, change the history of it?
Yes.
Well, the windows that we have in there are, you know, when they replaced this, we had replaced windows back early on, maybe early 2000s, that they just rebuilt the windows, and then, you know, 20 years later, they kind of needed it again. But the windows we have in, they are historic component.
Mhm.
That, so we can still keep the historic value. One thing we like to do is to add something on for more storage and for behind stage. For those who have acted behind stage, knows there's not a lot of room back there. And Kelly has, I don't know, usually for the kids show, we put a tent out back and that, because, you know, trying to keep 40 kids in, you know, the space is not easy. So that, and in the size of the stage, it limits us to some of the productions that we can do. I know summer of 20, you did Into the Woods. There would be no way that could have been done in the theater.
I would have found one.
No, probably would have, but I mean, you know, it's just, you know, some of the big productions limit us. We just can't do them, though we have done some, and it amazes me. I've had a couple casts of, I know Way Out West had a cast of like 23 people, and that was, and 23 adults are a little different than 30 kids, because
Yeah.
adults are bigger, you know, and that,
I think my biggest cast with the kids was my very first kids show at the Tin Shop. It was actually my very first kids show, period, other than the year before I had started, I'd been the stage manager, kind of kid wrangler, and I loved it. And then Leslie Barthel, she had been the one that had done the kids show previously, or the youth show, with David Farrell, actually, because David was, that's how I met David to begin with when I first moved back. And she unfortunately passed away in October of 2008, and so I took it over for her because we had talked about me helping her the following year, and I've been doing it for 12 years now. But at oh my goodness, I did Alice in Wonderland was my first show that I was directing, and I had 50, I want to say 54, but I think it's a little bit less, but I had a little over 50 kids.
Oh,
It was, but they fit on the stage, and it was fun, and it was interesting. It was a lot of kid wrangling.
Yeah. Yeah, kid wrangling is not easy, and that's why Alice usually avoids that, because I'm not good at that at all.
But she was great this year.
Yeah, Kelly and I conspired. It was my thought to try to do an adult teen show, and it ended up, we couldn't find a good script, but we found this one, the Nifty 50s, and it was more teen driven, but had adults in it. And I know Anne Marie had the patience.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she was very patient. Yeah, that was my first experience with working with that many teens.
And she didn't have the luck of working with all the kids like under 9. So
Yeah.
last time I've had kids from 4 to 20 usually in the shows. So, but yeah, it was fun to work with the adults and the kids.
Yeah, it was different. The show turned out great, and
may I just make a comment?
Yes.
At the beginning, and to see, the teenagers and whatever, I really didn't think we were ever going to get it all together. And through the magic of Kelly, she got those kids to come and work as a team and whatever, and I think they just did a wonderful, wonderful job. I didn't think we would do it. I don't think some of them thought it either.
no, it was.
Yeah, they were great.
Thank you, Emery. You were great. Oh my gosh! At the end, if any of you did not get to see that, Anne Marie stole the show at the end. She was amazing. So yes, thank you, Anne Marie.
It was
and
fun.
we actually have a DVD of it if you would like to play it up here
I
sometime.
would. I'd like to see that. Okay,
Yeah.
we could do that for one of our movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get a few of them. I was interested in, like, what was that, out in the west?
Way Out West in a Dress.
Woods.
Oh,
Into the Woods.
I think
Yeah.
that would be very interesting to see some of them.
And that. Some of the shows you're not supposed to tape or anything, but Pioneer Drama, which is one of the royalty companies, because a lot of the people don't realize that we have to pay royalties on all these shows. And we have to buy the scripts, and that's what, like Into the Woods, the royalties were pretty high. Some of the name shows, royalties are very high on, and so, we can't see enough people to even cover the royalty cost, because we only hold 73 people in the theater. And sometimes on a few shows, we've, added chairs and, probably against fire code, but we try to keep it at that 73 people, and we could never make that much money, even selling the seats at some of the royalty costs. Like Into the Woods, some of the shows that we get, like I said, the name shows,
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz, you have to rent the scripts, you have to rent the music.
Very expensive?
Yes, yeah, like $3,000 and up. So a lot of people don't realize that. They just think, oh, we can just go do that, but you can't.
That's what I thought.
You have to pay royalties.
Wow.
And,
for some.
oh, we had to pay royalties for all shows.
Yep.
Even for this show, we had to pay royalties. And we had to pay royalty, you usually have to pay royalties for the music and then for the things. Now, Pioneer Drama is one of the only publishing companies that allows you to tape, and you can put it on YouTube. And the city, we gave them a DVD. They're supposed to be running it on Channel 17. I don't know if they did or not. But we pay an extra royalty fee, a one-time fee, and it allows us to put that out there. But most royalty companies do not allow that.
And when we rent them for like some of the big shows, we then after the show is done, you have to return the scripts within a certain amount of time. Usually it's 10 days, 2 weeks. They have to go back, and the
Can't
kids.
write it all.
Yeah, you have to use a pencil, and you have to be and
Can't use
can't get
highlighters.
stains. You can't use highlighters to highlight your lines. So yeah, so the kids are always erasing. And then when we do a show like that, and then I go and then I erase everything that they didn't erase. But but it's nice. But most of the shows you get to keep your script. Yeah. So it's a nice keepsake for any show that you're in or involved with.
Well, I found where they bought bought the actual building, but it doesn't give the amount. They just said that the estimated cost would be $16,000 to rehab it. So.
And that was back in 1978,
No, this was in 1981.
81.
So.
How do you advertise?
Any way we can. It's really hard not having a paper. The Niles Daily Star has been gracious enough to come over, do some stuff. Word of mouth, Facebook, the social media, putting up flyers, cast members spreading the word among their friends and family. We have a mailing list that we mail out to people. If you want to be on the mailing list, if you're not on the mailing list, we can put you on. That we usually send out before the whole COVID thing, we always sent out, what our season's gonna be at, like January-ish. And so that goes out. I think we got like 350 people on our mailing list. So usually we try to capture, we have a book, people that come in to get names on our mailing list, and I add them. And so when we haven't been too successful in sending out like texts or email blasts. We did it a little bit, but weren't real successful at that.
But we're always looking to grow our mailing list, especially everybody that's interested, because there are some people that still don't even know that building is a theater,
Yeah.
which that have lived in Buchanan.
Well, and
So
it just happened this last weekend. David Van Dyke, he had a show in there, and I was talking to him on Monday. He wanted to be like, how many people came? Like, I haven't even had a chance to figure that out. But and he said what a gem it is. He had been in the theater for a couple shows, but he had never done anything in there, and he was just appalled at how good everything was, and how many few people didn't even have lived in our community their entire life and don't know about the theater. And that's
In our newsletter, I do go onto their site when I do a newsletter. We do have, I think it's on page 1, 2, 3, 4. We have community events. So I do always go in and see if they have anything coming up that month. So that's a place you can look to.
we have I know I post all the stuff on the community calendar that the chamber has out there. I know that's on the city's website, it's on our website, and it's on the chamber website. So, I mean, it's hard because so many people live in their own little bubble to know how to reach people. And
We need a paper.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we have the Chronicle, which, they're trying to do as much as they can, and they've been very supportive and that, but not everybody goes online and reads a paper. I know I like to feel paper,
Yeah.
and that, so. Yeah, I know, I'm not a Facebook person, and it's difficult to, without having some kind of, but then people don't take the paper, I think the last of the baby boomers, and I'm one of the last of the baby boomers, our age group wants that. And we don't want to be online, and, we're still the largest population in this country, so.
Diminishing.
Yeah, and
So what days are the shows this weekend?
I actually have many flyers to
Yeah.
hand out to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yep, I will, I apologize, I did not bring them in, but I will go grab them from the car.
Yeah, so
And I will hand them all out to
Kelly's
you.
involved in It's a Wonderful Life, and she can tell you a little bit about
Yep.
that show.
So, everybody knows, does everybody know It's a Wonderful Life?
The story.
Okay, yes. So, what we're doing is David Farrell is directing. He's doing a wonderful job. We have a lot of cast members from all over, which is wonderful. And it's a staged radio play. So basically, it's set up like the 1940s radio station over Christmas, and it's kind of a play within a play because each of us is a character, and then we are playing other characters then for the specific show. And we have a live pianist that is playing the music throughout. She's also a cast member. Yeah,
We have, like,
it's very good.
commercials.
Yes, we have commercials, a commercial break, yep. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be, it's a lot of fun. I mostly, I had volunteered to help out, so I originally thought that I would be in the booth. But David had me do a couple of the voices, and I'm doing a lot of Foley stuff. And that is fun. I love that. For anybody who doesn't know what Foley is, it's just, we're making all the sound effects. We're trying to make every single sound effect on the stage. So myself and one of the other cast members, Matthew Vargo, we're the ones who do most of them. But each character has one or two that they do themselves. But that part's been a lot of fun. And yeah.
Well, and, we have some wonderful sponsors for this show. Dr. Patricia Moore is a sponsor, the Buchanan Lions Club, and we also received a grant from the Buchanan band. So, out of Dwajek, from the Tribal Council. So they, we have one of the members his father is a member, and he called me up, and his granddaughter was actually in the Nifty 50s, and he had donated money for the t-shirts, and he called me up out of the blue, and I don't know where he got my phone number at, but he did. And
from me and David.
he called me up, and he said, we need to apply for this grant. And he told me where to go find the papers online, and I filled them out, and they had to come up, they needed different things and everything, and I applied for the grant, and we got it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So,
Both his grandson Toby was in Nifty 50s with us, and then Toby's father's in this show with us. So that's kind of how we got the connection. But he really loved the Nifty 50s, seeing Toby up there, and that's kind of what spurred, kind of got that rolling.
So he's you know, he said he would, because you have to have somebody from the tribe sponsor
Yeah.
it to get the grant, and so he said as long as he's alive, he will sponsor. And they only do one grant a year, you know, for the organization, but, we'll keep it going and
Wonderful.
that. And hopefully we get some of the, people that come to Wajak down to see what we're doing and that, because they're supposed to be, advertising it through their membership.
Do you have any other productions coming up through 2022 that you're
Well,
planning?
our goal, right now is to have our season set in January, and our first show will be mid-March this year. So,
And I'm gonna be directing it. It was a show that we were almost ready for production. We were supposed to open on Friday, and of course, the whole world shut down on Monday. So, it's called Jailhouse Frocks. And two of the original cast members can't be part of it this year, so we've gotten a couple other ones. But some of my mainstay, Craig Summerex, Julie Blaylock, and Patty Bathazor are gonna be in it. And
When was that?
it will be mid-March.
Oh, okay.
We'll do what we did like this time, we'll get some people together and get
Yeah.
some tickets.
So
yeah, as soon as,
it's a cute show. We've had to, and I got it, the rights, he's a man, and I'm getting the rights directly from the writer. He's from Australia, so we've had to change a little, you know, it's kind of, you can tell that the English is a little different because he was from, you know, the way they say stuff in Australia, English is different than what it is. And he has given, because you're not supposed to change anything in the script, but he has given me permission to change some words and that. I had to go over the script with him. We talked via, what do you call that? Not, where you talk.
Zoom.
oh, Zoom.
Senior moment. We Zoomed and we kind of went through and I told him what we wanted to change and he was good with it. And that. So, but, you know, normally, I mean, a lot of the writers of these scripts, they're not even around, that you can't do that with. I did that also when I directed Old Rugged Cross. And we did that a couple times. That the man that actually wrote that show is up in near Battle Creek, Marshall, Michigan. He lives in Marshall, and he runs a theater up at that Cornwell Turkeyville, I think it's called, Cornwell Turkeyville. And they have a little theater there, and he runs that. And I had originally saw that show down at Amish Acres, but there was a couple little things that, you know, sometimes your actors, you know, you aren't able to get the right things, and if you can work with a writer, and some of the music, we changed a little bit of the hems up and everything, and he was okay with that, so. But you've got to get permission to do everything on those scripts, and people don't realize that.
It's nice to know that you law abiding.
Yeah. I mean, we have to sign a contract with these publishing companies.
Yeah.
We have to get a license. So we signed a binding contract, and we had done, we were gonna do one show, and we hadn't gotten the license yet. And we put it out there that we were gonna do that show, and boy, did that licensing company come down. Like, do not do that. You don't put a show out there. You do not publish a show until you get the license. And then we didn't get the license.
Yeah, never got the
That's
license.
the only time
yeah.
I've been on, it, because when you know, if there's something, especially if something is being produced in a good radius of us professionally, we could not do it than that.
Yeah.
And it was like
Usually they don't-
22 steps or
No,
something.
39 steps.
39 steps.
Yeah,
And it was being produced in Chicago.
Oh.
And-
yeah, professionally. So that's usually when something's going on tour or is being produced professionally, usually they will not give the rights to like a community theater or any kind of amateur theater, whether it's school or anything else like that. So, yeah, so we always have to be really careful about
That's
that.
what everybody's like, oh, what are you doing? But if we don't have the rights, we can't say that we're gonna do that.
So you'll never make somebody do Jersey Boys, right?
Yeah.
If we could get the cast, I would
I
do
know.
it. I'm just saying.
I know, it's a great show. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. That's one of my favorite, that and Wicked. I think I've seen Wicked like
Wicked.
9 times.
That's when I would have to concede that I probably could not figure out how to do it in the theater. But you never know. I did Peter Pan in there, so.
But,
Thank you for all that you guys do.
Yeah.
We appreciate it up in town.
We do want that.
Yes, oh, I will definitely go, I will run and grab that in just a moment. We also, I mean, like we were saying at the beginning, we're always looking for volunteers. Anybody, we have ushers that usually, usher with one of the board members each time. We are always looking for people to basically just hand out the programs, and then you get to watch the show for free, which is really nice. And then you get to talk to everybody who comes in. And also, one of the things that I am always looking for, especially with the kids show, because it depends on the group of kids. Adults are a lot more self-sufficient on getting their costumes and figuring that out. But with kids, especially when you have fantasy stuff a lot, sometimes it's more difficult. So we're always looking for people who can sew. So if anybody really wants to sew something or help out with that, we're always looking. No, come on, Sandy.
well, and
Darn it.
Andrea Farrell, who's been in some of the shows,
Yeah.
she made the wonderful
Poodle skirts, yes.
this summer. And I mean, we were looking at having to buy, because we went over to Cassidy's and they did, I mean, their skirts, 1, weren't in the greatest shape, and 2, there wasn't gonna be enough in the colors that we were looking. And Andrea made these wonderful skirts for about $15 a piece, and
Yeah.
it was, I mean, you couldn't even touch them for $30.
Yeah.
So, and now we have,
Amazing.
we have a bunch of poodle skirts, so we
Yes.
gotta do another
We
50.
gotta do another 50 show.
Sorry, I wear those skirts.
So,
Yeah, but it's been fun. But our show, and I'll run out and grab those programs for you. But the next show, like I said, It's a Wonderful Life. It actually opens on December 10th, so about a week and a half from now. And we have 2 evening shows each that weekend and the following weekend. 2 evening shows, and they start at 7:30, and then we have 2 matinees on Sunday, which are at 3:30. So something to keep in mind. But I will hand each of you a little flyer about it. So.
well, we got a group of, what, 12?
10 people, and then normally
11,
Yeah.
coming on the,
And the 12th.
on the
And
12th.
it's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so, we can add more to that. You guys are gonna take up a lot. So, the state says we can fill to capacity, but we're gonna still try to, if we don't have a full house, to kind of separate people. And it's however you feel comfortable.
Yeah, we will be doing.
We do require a mask,
Yeah.
and we have been doing temperature checks when you come in. And, but we do ask masks to be worn while you're in the theater.
What are your prices?
For adults, it's $12, seniors 62 and above are $10, students 13 to 19 are $10, and then children under 12 are 12 and under are $5.
So I will go ahead and grab those flyers for you in just a moment. Do you guys have any other questions for us? There is one thing I know that I would like to know, if you guys have a moment, at any time you can either drop it off at Alice's house, or if you want to turn it in to Diana, we can check in sometime, or you can send it to, if you do go online, to tinshoptheater.org. I'm very interested, and we are very interested in knowing kind of what different people would like to see at the theater that you haven't seen and you're very interested. I hear Jersey Boys. We'll see.
Which may be out of our price range.
Yeah, it might be. I just even yet, right? Exactly.
Like a $3,000 or $4,000 sponsor.
Yeah. So we are looking to do a show if possible, but again, financially, we need to find sponsors. But we've had 2 shows now that have been outdoors the last couple years, and we were actually the only theater anywhere around here that did a show in 2020. However, it was very, very, very carefully and meticulously done, so everybody was safe. However, so we're going to try to continue to do a show outdoors.
But it
every
is
year,
costly because of the
Yes.
sound and lighting.
Yeah.
We have to rent that, and we have to rent all the mic packs.
Yeah.
And that, because you cannot do one without mics
Right.
on that. And that is, anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 just for that sound
Yeah.
and lighting equipment.
Yeah.
Because, we have it for those weekend, we did it one weekend, but if we did it 2 weekends, you're talking even more, and then
Yeah,
we
it's
have
twice as
to
much.
learn, people have to learn how to act with the mics on, so we need some tech time before that.
Yes, a rich donor.
Yeah,
Like Notre Dame.
So-
Yeah, Notre Dame, they contribute.
yeah, I wish.
Oh, that's something I haven't thought about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. I am so grateful. Thank you so much for being here, Kelly and Alice. Such a wealth of information. I love it. I love it. I'm very excited because, like she said, we do have a group going on the 12th. And so look forward in the newsletter.
And if you didn't get into that, you can just call down to the box office and reserve tickets, 695-6464, or you can go online and do tickets.
Yes. So thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Have
guys
a
for
wonderful
having
day.
us. Thank you. I will be right back.